I'm Fred Davis, the pastor of Mending Fences Cowboy Church. I want to welcome you this morning to our Bible study. I would encourage you, if you're not actively involved in a church, to join with us for our worship on Sunday mornings at Starstruck Farm on Highway 109, just south of Gallatin. I know you'll be blessed as we assemble to worship together. We've started a study in an Old Testament book, the book of Ecclesiastes. Most people don't read this book, and it's very seldom quoted. But Ecclesiastes is an amazing book on the meaning of life, written by Solomon, who was considered the wisest man that ever lived. He was also known as the wealthiest man that ever lived. He set out to find out what is life really all about. So he looked at the earth and the sun and the moon and nature and all of those things, and he discovered it just goes round and round. Nothing changes. Then he decided to look at his wealth. He built great homes, great fields and gardens and vineyards and all these things, only to sit back and to discover it does not satisfy the soul. So then he decided in chapter 2, and that's where we are today in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, he decided to investigate pleasure. America is obsessed with pleasure. We fit the second chapter completely. But what he found out was even pleasure cannot satisfy the soul. So then, in this chapter, he decides to look at all of his hard work. And what he discovered was it would not give him peace of mind. As a matter of fact, in verse 18, here's what he says. Listen to this. I came to hate all of my hard work here on this earth, for I must leave to others everything I have earned. How many times have I watched this happen? People work hard and they conserve and they try to accumulate wealth only to leave it to other people, family members. And what is interesting, those other family members, when they get a hold of the wealth, they lose it. Why? They didn't work for it. They didn't come to respect and understand what it meant. And so they just used it and had a great time. It's not long till all the wealth's totally gone. Gone completely. That's what Solomon is saying. I come to hate all my hard work because I'm going to just leave it to other people. And who can tell whether my successes will be wise or foolish? Yet they will control everything I have gained by my skill and hard work under the sun. So, we work, we labor. We really don't know if we've been wise or foolish. But when we're gone, all of that wealth is distributed to other people, and most of the time, it's wasted. When Solomon realized this, his attitude was, why work hard? What difference does it make? In other words, this did not satisfy his soul. He goes on to say how meaningless this really is. So, verse 20, I gave up in despair, questioning the value of all my hard work in this world. So, let me say to you, if you're working hard and you're conserving and you're doing everything you can to leave what you have to someone else, it will never give you peace. I knew a man, he had some wealth. He'd worked hard all his life. He'd never made a lot, but he had conserved. And every week on Friday, he would call the bank to look at his balances. He was up in his 80s and still working. I said to him one day, I said, why do you still do this? He said, oh, I'm just doing this to leave some money for my kids. That may sound good, but what value is it? Well, they'll have an easier life. Not if they waste it. Not if they throw it away, they won't. It could be worse. So, when Solomon looked at all of this, he said, boy, it's all meaningless. If you stop reading Ecclesiastes right here, you're going to draw the conclusion, life is miserable. There's nothing worth working for, and it's all going to be left behind. So let's look at verse 24. So I decided there is nothing better than to enjoy food and drink and to find satisfaction in work. That philosophy is how many people are living today. As a matter of fact, the food industry is huge. You can make a lot of money as a fine chef. Restaurants are raised up that some of them have made tremendous amounts of money because of the unique foods that they have created and made and sold to people who come to the restaurant. Matter of fact, some people live for that. They are searching out this restaurant and that restaurant because they're unique or they're different. And boy, you just love it. And you think, this is wonderful. So I'm going to enjoy eating and drinking and working hard. And that's what Solomon is saying. Then he realized these pleasures are from the hand of God. Isn't that an interesting statement? It's true. The food we eat is a gift from God. The house we live in is a gift from God. The clothes we wear are a gift from God. Everything we have, God has given to us. As a matter of fact, it's interesting to me that when you think about what God has given us, and we don't even appreciate it enough to bow our head and give thanks for the food that God has given to us. So, Solomon has decided there's nothing better than enjoying food and drink and satisfaction in work. And so he drew the conclusion all of this has come from God. Verse 25, chapter 2. For we can eat and enjoy anything apart from Him. God gives wisdom, knowledge, and joy to those who please Him. Now we're beginning to come at what life is all about. Solomon has looked at everything in the world. Nothing has satisfied the soul. So he is saying, enjoy food, drink, take satisfaction in your work, but we better realize all of this has come from the hand of God. If it were not for His blessing, you could be in a foreign country on the street corner somewhere begging for something to eat and still starving, but you're not. All of this has come from the pleasure of God. He goes on to say, but if a sinner becomes wealthy, God takes the wealth away and gives it to those who please Him. There is the key. God will take care of those who please Him. In other words, it's no longer now what I want, what I think, what satisfies me, what I enjoy, but it boils down to a matter of pleasing God. When we have the desire to please Him, He is going to take care of us and to meet our every need. So in this last phrase of verse 26, here's what he says. This too is meaningless, for the fifth time, like chasing the wind. There is no satisfaction. Think about it. Have you ever gone to a fine restaurant and you've eaten more than you should eat? You enjoyed it. It was wonderful. It tasted good. But you got sick before you even got home. Why? All of that wonderful food has turned on you. So that too is not satisfying the soul. It will not. It cannot. So Solomon says, this too is meaningless, like chasing the wind. You remember that's where Solomon started in chapter 1. The wind blows north, the wind blows south, and we don't know where it comes from, and we don't know where it's going, but we're chasing the wind. In our work, in our food, in enjoying our homes, in enjoying everything that's in our life, it's like chasing the wind. It does not give satisfaction. I hope you'll think on these things. I would encourage you to continue to read the book of Ecclesiastes. It's over there in the Old Testament. It's kind of hard to find. But all the meaning that we find in the book of Ecclesiastes. Thank you for joining with us today. We hope you'll join with us again next time.